Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the CEO Corner. And we have one of our favorites back again to talk a little bit about our upcoming affirmations journal, Dr. Sanja Stinson. But before we get into the details of today's show, again, I just want to make sure that one, I give a very warm welcome to everyone out there. And then thank you again for returning and supporting the CEO Corner. And of course, for those of you who are new to our show, I want to make sure that you are aware of who we are and what we do in regard to the marketplace. My name is Tiffany Bell, and I have the honor and the privilege not only of being the founder and creator of the CEO Corner, but I also have the privilege of being able to bring on individuals, female CEOs from all over the world that are really doing some really great things to make a difference, in their local communities, but also are making a difference and making it really just kind of stepping out, and making a difference around the world. And so a good little number, about 27, I think, authors have joined me with another affirmations journal. This next one is called Affirmations of a CEO on the Move. Again, affirmations of a CEO on the move. And I'm very excited again to have these fellow CEOs come on, not just to share here on the show, but their goal really is to empower women who are either one inspiring CEOs or CEOs that are already doing the thing. However, we all need some encouragement. And so glad to have these ladies join me, and very glad again to have you here so that you can hear a little bit about their stories, hopefully pick up a nugget or two of wisdom that you can use and put in your tool belt as well. And then together we can make a difference. And so my guest today is Dr. Sanja Stinson. Let's take a moment out. Let me make sure that I get her introduced, and then we'll begin our conversation. So Dr. Rickette Stinson is a business coach, author, and speaker. She's a four-time author, ordained minister, serial entrepreneur, founding CEO of Matthew House. She's innovative. She's an innovative leader who knows no bounds, and she serves as the founding pastor and apostolic leader for churches and para ministries. Again, I have had the honor and the privilege of having her on our show before, but it's always really good to hear from her. And of course, today, she's going to do just like what she did last time. She's going to share some solid wisdom with you all that are, possibly in the nonprofit field or just entrepreneurs in general. If you need to pick up some nuggets, some wisdom, Dr. Sanja Stinson, she is full of wisdom. So again, welcome to the stage today with me, Dr. Sanja.
Hi there, Tiffany. I'm glad to be back today. So, how are you doing?
I am hanging in there, hanging in there. It's been one of those weeks, getting over, and I know we're just coming out of a week, but going into another week. But I'm just
Yes,
telling you, just being able to take a deep breath in and sit down and kind of relax. I'm looking forward to that. How about yourself?
I am doing well. I spent, like you said, it's been one of those weeks. We just came out on Mother's Day, and I have some new projects that I'm vetting. So it's always busy, but always taking time for you and coming on as the CEO. I just love what you're doing. So it's just a lot of work, but it's good to be busy. It's good to
Oh,
be
yes,
busy.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think that busyness seems to be the thing for most people. A lot of people, when I speak and say, "How are you doing?" Honestly, the first thing that I hear out of most people's mouths is that they're busy. And I don't know if that's just something that we get a little more entangled in as we grow older, or if it's just a sign of the times. The world is not spinning any quicker, but I tell you, I think that if we could make it spin any quicker, if we could get any more time out of the run of a day, I think most of us would. But with that, let's transition. And again, I was talking with you before we started recording today, and you were just talking a little bit about just your story in regard to one being a female entrepreneur, specifically a female entrepreneur of a nonprofit, as well as a pastor in regards to serving in the church, right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
kind of talked a little bit about having to deal with rejection. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if one tell our viewers, a bit about your nonprofit, because again, your bio read that you're a founding you're a founding member of that nonprofit. I'd love for you to kind of tell them about the mission and where you guys are located at and how you serve. And then, just kind of transition a little bit more into your story in regard to just, being able to embrace the role of CEO and some of the setbacks that you probably had to deal with as you travail first. So,
Well, yes. So thank you again, Tiffany. I am the founding nonprofit of Matthew House. We're located in Chicago. We are turning 33 years old. I founded the organization with three African American men who we founded it together. And God bless, two are in heaven, one is still around. We serve individuals who are experiencing homelessness, on the brinks of becoming homeless. We provide daytime supported services. We provide permanent supportive housing, medical and dental services, and we try to help them remove all the barriers that has caused their homelessness to begin to end their plight with homelessness as soon as possible. I have been there for 33 years, and one of the things that I was talking to you earlier was about rejection in that field, but also there's been a lot of rejection even in the church field. And when you look at rejection, when I look at rejection, it does propel you to continue. But one thing about rejection is that you have to really sit back and really say, wow, I've been rejected. But I think what happens to many is that we hold on to it too long.
yes.
I had to learn that the hard way. People will say no, but no does not mean the end of the road. And even if that person says no, there must be something on the other side. Relying on my faith in both arenas, both as a senior pastor, now apostolic covering, and as a nonprofit CEO, I got a lot of no's. And when you get a lot of no's, it can affect you. You
Mm-hmm.
begin to question yourself. Is there something wrong? Did I? What do I look ugly? I'm just making. I'm making it. Is my breath stinking? Something
Just
like
trying to figure it out.
trying to determine so you know what's wrong. But what I have learned and what I've gathered over these years is that every no is not a solid no. It's just the no on the other side of the yes. And you have to determine if you're going to sit in that rejection or if you're going to find out what is the other side of the no. Where do I get the yes? And so what I've learned is that, okay, so it's no today, but how do I get a yes tomorrow? And so I think that what happens with rejection, when you're sitting in rejection, both sides, is that you cannot wallow in it. Rejection should propel you to where you want to go. Rejection should propel you to succeed even more. And rejection should propel you to become that lifelong learner to find out, okay, what's missing that I'm getting so many no's.
Yes, yes, yes. I was having a conversation actually one day last week. I can't remember exactly who I was speaking with, but we were talking a little bit about, yeses and your nos. And very much like what you said, when you say yes to something, you're saying yes to the door that's directly in front of you, but you really don't understand, what's behind that doorway, how big your yes really will end up being.
Right.
Same thing with a no. When you get a no, that no, oftentimes, in my opinion, I found that God's grace is covering me. And when I get a no, and if I can't find my way around the no or over the no, that's probably a sign that it's just that I need to go a different direction. And sometimes, sometimes no, it's really about a bad timing. It's like it's not necessarily no, never. It's more so sometimes it's just not now. And so again, just kind of waiting for the right moment for the door to open up, and you can just feel the grace. Like, it's
Yeah,
not.
I think that's wonderful because one of the things that because I don't do grant writing a lot, not because of course I have a full staff, but I do have to vet those grants. We have to look at them, see if it fits the mission of the nonprofit. And so a lot of times that when in the young years when I was younger, I would sit on those no's, but I began to learn how to get around that rejection, and I began to really network with some of the people that were giving me no's. I began to ask questions. In fact, what I would tell everyone is that one of my coaches did tell me in the early years, when you get a no, send them a thank you letter. I sent thank you letters to my no's.
Like that.
I said, thank you for saying no. I hope, and I'm paraphrasing, that we can come back at the next grant cycle. And I hope that we can be considered for the next grant cycle in my nonprofit. So in the early years, and we still do it today, we thank them for our no's. Thank you for considering our grant. Thank you for responding. Because one thing I've learned is that sometimes you will write, and this is a nonprofit, sometimes you write a grant and you don't hear, but you're delighted when you get a no. At least you know that they took time, the grant maker or the grant giver took time to read it. So when you get that letter saying no, as a CEO of a nonprofit and as a pastor of a church who have also write grants for the church, sometimes it's thanks to no. I think that my coach and nonprofit coach says sometimes they will, when you acknowledge no, at least they acknowledge that you did get the letter. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Again, at the end of the day, and this is not just nonprofit wise, but just whether you're for profit, whether you're in the church, outside the church, no matter what, at any point that you are looking for an opportunity to network, looking for an opportunity to collaborate, if it does not work in that moment, it does not work in that moment. But, just the general acknowledgement, because it still took time out, one, for that individual, very much like what you said, to even review your application. And so, the more you create opportunities for them to recognize your brand, to recognize your mission, to recognize your name, just in the follow-up. Again, sometimes the no is a no, but you just never know what may happen down the line. And so your thank you is just another opportunity for them to see your brand, Matthew House, one more time across come across their desk. And of course, you never know, again, what may come across their desk, and that they might actually be the one to reach out to you and say, hey, you know what, we had this come across. Think this right here would be a good connection for you. So located here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, we have the Mississippi Community Foundation, which is a nonprofit that connects nonprofits with opportunities for grants. And it's also a centralized donor base, so that as you as a grantor, if you have, funding that you would like to be able to give towards a very specific cause, our community foundation will manage the money for that. And so again, very much like what you've already suggested, it's nothing for us to go in as a nonprofit, have a conversation with the community foundation. Again, it becomes brand recognition for them. The more they're able to see and to hear your name, you're at the top of mind when opportunities do come across their desk. So it's always great, in my opinion, not necessarily because you got a yes, but, you look at it as an opportunity to network, look at it as an opportunity to just remind people of who you are, the service that you give to the community, so that, again, when an opportunity pops up, they may indeed be the one to come back and circle to you. So I think it's always great to have, that type of follow up and have that type of rapport, especially as it pertains to money and funding, Yes.
Yeah. I can think of one incident, and both from the church and we were doing a lunch program, and then I was applying for a grant. We needed a freezer. Well, they were both coming from two different sources. Okay. But I went to the networking event, stood up and said who I was, and the person that was the commissioner at that time said, "Oh, we don't know who you are. That's a nice name. I like that name." And I went up and made sure that I had the opportunity to shake her hand. And they weren't giving out any new grants. But what I did, again, that branding, and what she liked about it was the concept that we filled a niche that no one was filling at the time, which was a daytime support service center. Well, almost 6 months later, I got a call. She says, "Listen, we'd like to help you, but we don't have any money until our grants are 2 years. But what equipment do you need?" Well, we needed equipment for our church lunch program, and we needed a large freezer. So they gave us a large grant to buy the freezer. But that was from a networking event where I had gotten several no's from that grant maker. And then 2-3 years later, now we've been at the organization, we've been funded for the last 22, 23, 28 years. But had I not followed up, went to the networking event. See, networking to me, that's what I think sometimes we're talking about rejection. We might not want to go to networking because we don't know anybody there. I love those type of networking when I don't know anyone there.
Gotcha. So that I can get connections.
Yes. So I can get to know people. And that was an event that I knew no one there. I was invited. One person did invite me, but they wasn't there because they were already getting funded, so they needed not to be there. But just going, having the opportunity to stand up and introduce myself, open that door, even though we had already got no, no, no from them, I made a decision. I'm going to this networking event that they have every month, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to get the opportunity to introduce myself. It ended up working for both of the nonprofits, the ministry, the church, and the nonprofit. We ended up getting a free so that we could feed a free lunch program for our children in the community and the neighborhood. So when you talk about rejection, rejection is, failure is on the other side of your success. You think about Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey and all of those individuals who were rejected, okay, who got a lot of no's. But because they understood that vision and because they understood what they needed and what they had to, how they wanted to succeed, no turned into a yes because it did not deter who they was. So all of those, they received a lot of rejection. One of the pieces that I write is giving yourself permission to sow. So if you don't give yourself permission to sow, you cannot grow, which means that you cannot sit and wallow in rejection when someone tells you no. You're going to get a lot of no's in this on either side, on the profit side and on the nonprofit, because I have both of them. You just have to figure out a way to maneuver through the no and determine how do I get through this? Well, how do I get to yes?
Yes, yes, yes. Love that, love that, love that. So I love the in general, our topic around rejection. The thing that I love about this topic, again, whether we're talking for-profit, nonprofit, we are really talking about opportunities in regard to funding, opportunities as far as collaboration. But in general, there are a lot of women out there, just as female leaders that deal with rejection, right? And so, we are oftentimes underrepresented in various fields. We're oftentimes underpaid. And then there are plenty of times also, women with women where we are very competitive, and not necessarily doing our best to help each other's lights to shine, or being secure in who we are and letting our light shine regardless of what others around us are doing. I would love to kind of hear you kind of talk just a little bit around that and share some of your experiences.
Oh, you said a great mouthful. Let me start with us being very secure with who we are. I didn't get here overnight. I was not secure as to who I am. But in this season and for biblical, in this dispensation, I am very secure in who I am. And I mean, you have to understand that. And I tell this to my group, there is enough out here for everyone. There's 7 billion plus people on the planet. Everybody's not going to hear your voice. And so we don't have to be in competition, although we are with each other. Women, I mean, that's, as we were coming on, listen, I have been a CEO or executive director for many, many years, of a century or so. But when I look at the salaries compared to my salary that I had to really get to what our counterparts get, it's alarming. So women, we have to work together and we cannot be afraid to collaborate with each other. You may be doing something in your city and I'm over here in the Midwest. That does not mean that we in collaboration with each other. Everybody has a choice and they know what voices they can connect to. So I think we have to be very careful both. I mean, and then the church is rapid. Okay. It's rapid in the church. And it's sad because we're just getting to a point where they accept ordained women in various positions and various, various denominations. And we're still sometimes being so much competitive. Competitive is not bad, but it's bad when you are when you're comparing yourself or being competitive with your sister who you should be uplifting.
Yes, 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 yes. I hear it so many times this year. What's it? Collaboration trumps competition, over and over again. And sometimes that's very true. And then other times, unfortunately, I see the opposite is happening amongst us. And, and at the end of the day, I realize that, and I tell people this on a regular basis, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. but I'm really okay with that. Like,
Yes.
even Jesus didn't heal everybody.
No.
He did what he could, and he could, mind you, he could do a lot in comparison to the
Mhm.
rest of us, even as a human being. But he didn't heal everybody. And so with that, I realized that not everybody is going to be a good connection for me. Not everybody will I have the opportunity to collaborate. Though there are lots of people out there that are doing really good things, and I would love to have the chance to connect. But I understand, sometimes what's in my heart versus what I believe that God has actually called us to. And I believe that he's called us to certain people. I think he's called us to certain works. And I believe that he's given us certain skill sets and talents and abilities. And I also think timing and all of that works together in order for us to fulfill, our destinies, in order to be able to walk in the purpose, that he's put us here
Mhm.
for. And so, with that, I think, again, when we kind of talk about just having the right mindset as a CEO, again, just knowing one, who you are, understanding why you've been placed here, being
Mhm.
very secure in that and being okay to even bring people forward with you. And then recognizing there's some people that you simply have to leave behind no matter what, when
Mhm.
you're really clear on who you are and again, and whose you are and why you're here for, it makes it a lot easier for your yeses to be yeses and your no's to be no's, and to put the distance that needs to be placed between, the people that you're just not called to walk with, in certain seasons. And so with that, I would like to kind of transition into just start talking a little bit around the CEO affirmation book. And so, you're one of 27 authors that have come together to make this affirmation a success, right? And so, and even your affirmation talks a bit around success, but I love that it really does tie into rejection. Like, got to have the right mindset in order to be successful. And so, I want to give you about 5 minutes or so. I want you to speak directly to that female CEO or that aspiring female CEO that's out there that needs some motivation, that is looking to take her next steps, but she's cloudy. She's dealing with anxiety, she's dealing with doubt, she's dealing with fear. I would love for you to just take a moment to uplift and to encourage her, and just kind of help her, take on a different perspective.
Well, my affirmation is as on the screen: fear and doubt are enemies of my success. They will not zap, and the zap is a key word. Zap my energy or derail my success. And so, as I began this affirmation, as I began to work with this new project, I had to really sit back and think about what I had allowed to be a distraction that hindered my success. I had to get rid of the distractions that were not a part of my success. And sometimes that can be very difficult, because sometimes that can be some of your close friends, some of your family, some individuals that have been with you a long time. But you, as you go towards success, and as you know that you want to be successful, you have to recognize that there are some things that you will have to no longer allow yourself to be distracted. In the church, we say the enemy in me. But sometimes the enemy is not a person, but the enemy is in you. You're sitting in rejection, you're sitting in fear, and you have allowed that to stop you from moving forward, from moving out. Affirmation sees on the move. You have allowed yourself to be stagnated and to be stuck in one place, because you're seeking the opinions of others. The only opinion that we need is the opinion that's important to our creator, and the opinion that's important to us. And so when I say zap, fear and rejection has a way of zapping your success. It has a way of making you tired. It has a way of changing your mindset. And so if I had to encourage any CEOs out there, anyone who inspired to be a CEO, whether it's in the church or in the nonprofit, whether it's in a women's ministry, listen, don't let fear, don't let fear of others and what others think and what others believe. Be prepared. And I had to get there a long time, that everybody will not understand, and everybody cannot go with you. And so when you and you have to be prepared for that, because if they cannot go with you, then they're zapping your energy. You can no longer afford to be around individuals that will not celebrate where you're going. As a CEO, you want to be around individuals that will celebrate you, that will celebrate your new mindset, that will celebrate your aspirations of becoming a successful CEO, of becoming a successful pastor. Be around, because if individuals that are not celebrating you, they are sabotaging where you're going. So I encourage you today, all those inspiring CEOs, all of those who may be CEOs and just needed a word of encouragement. Do not allow the enemy to derail or sap your success, because you can do it. You are important. Have a great day.
I love that you said that you can do it. You are important. And again, that's all about having the right perspective about who you are. And that really comes from that's how you see yourself. It's not so much about allowing others to see you as successful, or allowing whatever label, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, individuals that you may share your day with, within the labor force, no matter where you're at. It's all, honestly, you have to get your confidence from within yourself, because if we allow ourselves to be defined by other people's opinions, some of us wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning, let alone run a business and really provide the products, provide the services, provide the help, the mentoring either that, our community really needs. And so, the more we live, the more we see, especially as it pertains to our youth, things in the world are not like what they were when I was coming up. As the longer we live, the more we see there's so much going on in the world. And so, we all have our place. And I believe, again, we all have our purpose. And so you want to make sure that you can embrace, honestly, the way that you've been made, and know that the way that you've been made is perfect for your purpose. And so it's not so much about other people and what they can do and what they can't do, or even what they say, but just recognizing that you are made beautifully, and again, fashioned specifically for the purpose that God created you to fulfill. And so with that, Dr. Stinson,
the Bible says that we are fearfully
and
wonderfully made.
Yeah, that's Psalm 139. You want to look that up.
Fearfully and wonderfully made. Everyone out there, fearfully and wonderful. That means God did not make a mistake. Your creator made you exactly the way. Now, get up and begin to take ownership of your success.
Yes. All righty. So, Dr. Stinson, for anyone who's watching, whether they want to get in contact with you as far as mentoring in the nonprofit sector, coaching in the nonprofit or for-profit industry, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on all the social media outlets. Just look at me for Dr. Sanja Rickette Stinson. Or you can go to my website at www. Dr. DRSANJA, just abbreviation DRSANJA.com. I have some classes on nonprofit grant writing, some things that are coming up, some new projects. You do want to go to my website, but you can also reach me at my toll-free number at 866-200-9850. I always answer that phone.
Oh, no, you're going to have to slow that down. I want you to repeat it.
I'm sorry. You can always reach me at my toll. Yeah, I can sometimes talk so bit. My toll-free number is 1-866-200-9850. Again, that's 1-866-200-9850. I always have that phone on my hip, and I would love to connect with you.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, so we have just a couple more seconds left. I want to talk about two things, and one is how you can get a copy of the Affirmation Journal. We will start our pre-sales this week for this, and so want to make sure you stay tuned in to social media so you can get your copy. And of course, you can follow up with Dr. Stinson directly so that you can get a copy of your pre-sale journal directly from her. And then also, Dr. Sanja, I believe you have a journal, not a journal. you have another book coming out pretty soon. You
I
call
have,
for
I
authors.
have, we're calling for authors right now for Disrupting the Status Quo Volume 2. And this one is focused on leaders, resilient women leaders crushing mediocrity. This book is going to be about leaders. And Tiffany, I know you have a busy schedule, but I hope you look at it. So you can look, we'll call for authors. Our next session is this week, but you can go to my website and learn all the information at www.drsanja.com. That's DRSANJ or at SANJ, or you can go to my other website at www.disrupting the status quo disruptingthestatusquo.com, and you can learn all about it. I hope to see many of you in this new book project. We were best-selling authors with 5 badges in volume 1, so I'm very excited about volume 2.
All righty, very good. All right, glad to have you again today on the show. Again, you guys have heard that she's on social media. You can go to drsanja.com to follow up with her again, whether it's to get some type of coaching for your nonprofit or for profit. Even if you want some more information about her nonprofit, if you're located within the Chicago area, feel free to follow up with her. Again, so happy to have you on the show today. Definitely love to hear the inspiration and the empowerment that you do for women. So I am going to bring today's show to an end. Again, so glad to have you here. You guys would
Thanks
like
for
to
having me.
make sure that you guys stay connected with the CEO Corner. Currently, we are broadcasting on Sunday evenings, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. All righty, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time.